Hello, ladies and gentlemen. While Miss Epps and I were talking about everything that we've reviewed today, I sort of came to the realization that there's a few tiny things that I think you could use some more help on. So I figured I could make a quick video and you could hopefully watch this tonight at home. The first thing I noticed is that no one seemed to be mentioning solving inequalities in class. And there's a few tricky things about inequalities that I think is really important to review. So let's look at this example. Negative 2y plus 7 less than negative 15. The first thing I would do is, since this is an inequality, it's just like an equation. So I would put my little line down the center. Since it's just like an equation, like any good math party, 7 would leave first. So I would subtract 7 from both sides. Now, if this computation on the right is giving you trouble, remember you can use a calculator tomorrow for the final. Or we've talked about how in class, writing it out horizontally might help you see it. What I've got is negative 15 minus 7. We don't much care for subtraction, so you change that to adding the opposite, which both of these have the same sign. When they've got the same sign, you simply add them and keep the sign, which is how I get negative 22. Now, I need to divide by negative 2. And this is what's really important. When you multiply or divide by a negative, that inequality flips. So do you see how it started as less than? And since I divided by a negative, it flipped to greater than. So maybe that's something you want to write down in your note card. If you multiply or divide by a negative, and you got to write this big, flip the sign. I hope that woke someone up in your house. Okay? The next thing we're noticing is when we ask you to simplify. For example, I've got 4x minus 2 times, in parentheses, 3 plus x. The first thing you should notice is whenever you see something in parentheses, that should draw your attention. In this case, I can't follow PEMDAS because I've got variables. So if you see parentheses, your first idea should be to distribute. That's when we take this 2 and multiply by the 3. We take this 2 and multiply by the x. Now, you have to be careful though. This first term here is a positive 4x, which means that my second term, the term that is being multiplied by both parts in the parentheses, is a negative 2. So when I multiply, this negative 2 times 3 gives me a negative 6. I put a plus sign in between because that's what's there hanging out in the parentheses. Then I take a negative 2 times x, which would give me negative 2x. Once I do that, I can see that I've got 4x in the front here and a negative 2x in the end here, which means that these are like terms. They both have an x on them. So 4x's plus a negative 2x's would give me a positive 2x minus 6. I hope that helps. If you're watching this tonight and you're thinking, geez, I really wish Miss Pint would do this sort of problem, email me. Maybe I'll do it and put it up for tomorrow night. Until then, happy studying. And don't forget that I believe in you. You can do it. See you all on Friday.